is a stand right here. And I have one right here. Here's the stand here. I just got to move it over. I can just... I almost saw the weenie there. Someone almost had a cam show. Someone almost had a cam girl show. Someone almost. I guess that someone would be me. I've been dabbling with this idea to open up a cam girl room. I've been dabbling with this idea for a long time now, because I know that or it could be a fear, or it could be a desire or a want. It could be all kinds of things. But the vision already sees it is going to be the room that the whole fucking world that I'm primarily connected to. It's going to be the room that's going to become the clubhouse, where everybody comes and feels at ease to express themselves. So basically, Russell's still on the same journey, and that is opening up the guitar store with a stage in it. And the Vatican told me through their representative, Jay, that was the brother's name, the representative. I told him I had to put everything on hold. And he told me, he says, anytime you want to come back, he said, let me know. So here I am, 13 years later, 12 years later, still dabbling with the idea, which, implementing it on a grander progressed scale, because everything has gone more than just a regular hard store out in town with a stage. The real hidden desires deep down inside under the black, the secret mysteries, is that stick-em experience. And then the next level is always going to be like Zakk Wylde says, it just seems like, naturally the next level, it's just natural. So, in saying all that, this is the motivation and the spark behind this particular video, which has already been FEMA tested, prototyped, and that is combining surfing on the web, watching YouTube videos, and coming back to the real camera. Which I really need is a split screen. So to have, this gets all into web rooms, cam rooms, and all kinds of shit. So anyway, so here's the first video that that was watched, and nothing grabbed the attention
for a week.
It was just a wee wetter. So I'm gonna go back to the list. Okay, now this always pops up from YouTube lately, but there's a loophole in this legal code, folks. Let me show you what the loophole is. See the refresh button up in the top? 1, 2, 3. A, B, C, history guitar for me. Aliens, Van Halen, 1, 2, 3. Come and suck and stroke with me, girl. Okay, this gets all into everything that's going on as far as I'm concerned. And there's my wonderful girl one of the girls that I've been loving to fuck lately. Or not necessarily fucking, but you know, we're having sex, but more like I'm fucking her. I'm the initiator. I'm seducing her. Which could be considered a form of rape, couldn't it? But there's a good side and a bad side to rape. The good side is it's called seduction. And behind door number 1 with seduction is helping someone else to grow, or just sharing who I am, and she shall automatically, or the lover shall automatically grow. And I learned this stuff from this girl. I'm gonna go to her channel, or the channel that she likes to radio through. I learned this over 10 years ago from her, Teal Swan. She's the one that introduced me to this idea. The idea to be with lovers is to learn something, and then when everything is learned that needs to be learned and the relationship goes sour, well, leave the relationship and get into another one, because there's more to learn. Okay, now these are her oldest videos, 12 years ago. So I'm looking at the headlines here, and I'm seeing if the vid will just quickly show up. And if it doesn't quickly just show up, then that's the sign to me that, like Ingwe says, you know, I don't want to explain it. Because it's too taxing to have to really get into it for this moment. Anyway, I would be looking for keywords like relationships, and it might not be prevalent on a title. It might be something that's brought up. Ooh, look at this, pets. It might be something that's brought up and hidden away, tucked inside the video, underneath the title. And then she brings it up. So anyway, getting back. Now, one of the things that I learned with the FEMA tests, the governmental tests here now, because this is a government operation. I am an MK Ultra candidate. And ET, Vatican, Club Vatican controlled. So I am already in the club, folks. I might go through all these videos and, you know, as I'm learning and figuring out, well, I don't want to be with the club. I don't want to join the club. Fuck the club. It's a bunch of fucking rape, pedophile shit. Da, 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 da. And the more that I investigated and audited and exposed, the more I realized, well, fuck, I've been in the club since day fucking million trillion years ago when the programmer programmed me into it. So but in a way also, I'm not in the club. And so and the reasoning behind that, with the solid state amp coming forth with the blaring, wretched, ear piercing, shrieking, fuck you up the asshole bent over on your tube. Reason is, it's Because there's a good and there's a bad side to everything. There's an in, there's an out to everything. Nothing always has to stay as though the story came out. Because a lot of times the story that comes out is been controlled by someone else. Instead, the self. And then the next level would be the child. And that's the team between the two energies together, mutual agreement. An equal full disclosure agreement. Nothing hidden. So, which is what's predominantly been going on with this electrical universe at the highest level. Which gets me into this color wheel, which last night was introduced to this Battle of the Gods subject. I'm not saying that this is the Battle of the Gods. I'm saying this is the next subject to study. Subject matter jurisdiction here. Look out for the mushroom. They pop up all of a sudden. A little bit of microbia and have a extra theatrical experience. Just let it. It doesn't have to be squeezed so tight that it needs to prove that it's big. Just squeeze it just enough. So I'm learning more and more and becoming more conscious. That would be the proper word there. Instead of learning, more conscious. I am becoming more conscious, or without identifying with anything, including the I. Consciousness, a more solid statement. This is a more solid statement. Consciousness is becoming much more clear vision. And I don't have to explain it right now, especially if it's a struggle. And the reasoning behind that is all the details shall be filled in. All the retails shall be filled in. All the clues shall be filled in. Everything that needs to be filled in. Every gap, every pussy that longs to slide on a wonderful pole shall be filled in. So, and those ideas and those wants, the wannas, the wants, shall be a reality, not just a fantasy. Claw's mine, or claw's mane, because the claw on the lion's mane doesn't easily sink in, and that's learned when the tiger and the lion YouTube videos reveal the relationship between the tiger and the tigress and the lion. It's the lion king, and that's the tigress queen. So now I need to go back. Okay, now these right here, when these videos queue up and they pop right out in front, okay, these are signs. For those that want to be conscious in the sign realm. This is actually a contract. Just say it. But it doesn't have to be a contract. So I can say that it is something and not have to feel bound that I have to explain how it's really not, or it has the option to be not. So memories pop up, thoughts pop up, has all this mirror reflective type stuff. Reflects, mirrors, and pops. Okay, so there's the original before we went off on the teal swan. Teal swan. We have the pop off, cost off, his story. Now remember, this is his story. The fastest cars, the origin of the soul. Oh, look, there's Ken. Now, I know that if I pop on Ken's channel, he's going to have all kinds of copyright stuff. But if I was in the cam room live right now, the private cam rooms allow all the legal copyright material played in actuality moment, all that I would want. Otherwise, I have to slow down and not be in such a fucking hurry and anticipate anything that's going to be unacceptable to a small child. Unacceptable to a small child. When I say small child, that's the same idea as someone that's not grown up enough to accept another's expressions. And that goes along with the theory that I always bring up, or that always wants to surface to the top. Instead of saying I, for identity's crisis sake. So anxiety comes in and I get to rambling on, and then oops, I ejaculated some information that all of a sudden those behind the YouTube veil or those in the YouTube realm might complain. And so the officer has to show up, the Vatican representative, ET, and meet the king. Now this right here is not copyrighted information. Although, if I wanted to go there, it has the option to be revealed that, yes, this is copyrighted. Blue.
Man. Whew. That's a workout. Whoa. Wow, wow, wow.
Okay, now I'm going to interject here. Now, whoops, wrong button. The email is right next to the military camera app. So, just because I said I want to interject doesn't mean I have to spill the beans right now. Everyone in the audience probably might want to go home now because you're not getting your money's worth, are you? Or are you? Because this is part to the show. Which, running rampant throughout the whole corporation, is that peer pressure to want to have to cater to what that imaginary voice keeps telling us, which is, you better play you better start playing now, or else the riot's gonna break out. There's gonna be a war. And so this is where I learned information that when those spin doctors' thoughts are so predominant, that I can bring other thoughts and body actions in, vibrating, vibrate, because it's the two together. But the bad habit has always been that it's male-dominant society. So if I come across male-dominant, well, it should be obvious why. But I don't plan on staying there. And I've got enough girl energy to show, as Ken Tamplin likes to share. The proof is in the scene. And Ken's like, ka-ching! Yes! But at the same time, Ken's like, well, this needs to get out. The head has been scrubbed enough lately. When it's starting to feel too itchy, that's letting me know that, that it could be a good thing. Because a dry scalp could be enough to dry the shit that's clogging all the pores up, that's causing the hair to fall out. So it's the consciousness thing again, with all the signs on the AI, which is the YouTube smartphone, ET smartphone home, as well as all the other signs that are outside ET smartphone home. Being conscious with that. So whenever the Jesus popular religious movements, Muhammad, Bhagavad Gitas, the Lonely Wolf religions, whenever they say that the best thing that anyone can do is to go inside, I always say, yeah, I used to believe that too, until I've contemplated and became conscious with the book that I read by Ken Roberts, another Ken, Aiken to Breakin', another Ken. The book called The Rich Man's Secret, A Rich Man's Secret, which reveals the story, the Blue Rose. The story, the Blue Rose. And so, if this was a video that wanted to delve deep on the Blue Rose, I could go down that rabbit path if the energy was there to go down. The magnetic electronic suck. If the sex wanted to happen right now with that one, oh man, it would be magnificent, and it could be lasting all fucking day, all through the night. It would be a Motley Crue party for 5 days straight. Pure fucking sex. And of course, if this was a cam room, a strip chat or a chatterbait, because those are the two rooms that I'm considering going in, leaning more towards strip chat, because internationally, that fucker is way more international than chatterbait, from what I've seen so far. Although chatterbait is much more pleasant experience as far as the colors on the screen go. Strip chat is all red, but chatterbait's all blue and white. These are the soft, easy absorbed colors. But the hard meat is in the black and the red. The mysterious elephant Trump. And then the lovely, delicate Biden. But the two together, when they meet, oh man, the load shot is strong. And the G squirt, which is really the priority for everything right now. The G squirt and the G orgasm and the clitoral orgasm is out of this fucking world. And then it's in the world too. So the story of the Blue Rose shares how to focus on that which is without, because it's too easy to get lost in thought and everything gets blocked out. That's an American Idol music business clue. And like I say, I have the education, or the education is there instead of saying I have, because that's like saying it's mine. And we all know that the tax collector likes to go through town as the king and parade himself and say it's all his. Bow down, let me shove my ass up your dick, kiss my ring, and pay the tax, fucker. Get to work, slave. And I don't give a fuck if you're a subcontractor or a general contractor. You're still kissing the tax king's anus, Uranus. Because this gets me all into today's discussion now that everything's been introduced. And so go to the library. Here's some more signs if I really wanted to delve deep into these signs. Okay, so here's the video. This is what introduced me last night.
This episode of the Y-Files is brought to you by PDS Debt. Since grade school, we've been taught that gravity is what keeps our feet firmly planted on the ground. But what if that's all been a lie? Now, I'm not saying if you jump off a bridge, you fall up instead of down, but what if Newton and Einstein were wrong, and what really ties our universe together is not gravity, but electricity? The electric universe theory says that instead of gravity, the universe's true attractive force comes from invisible electric currents that surround our planet, our solar system, the galaxy, and everything. We're all living in one giant universe-spanning circuit. Mainstream science ignores this possibility. But ignoring the electric universe,
performance and efficiency in harmony. Engineer.
Refresh button to quickly get that commercial moving on.
This episode of the Y-Files is brought to you by PDS Debt. Since grade school, we've been taught that gravity is what keeps our feet firmly planted on the ground. But what if that's all been a lie? Not after the gods. But what caused this war between the gods and the cataclysm on Earth? It was the glowing middle object in the cosmic wheel, Venus. But Venus didn't form like the other planets. It was created much more.
Slides at one of the sessions at the conference.
All right. Had a delay from the last position that the brother was in. That's kind of neat. Anyway, so now I fast forward to get to the nitty gritty and get to the point. Because I know what it's like watching a fucking YouTube video. And all I want for the moment is to know what the point is. Just stab me with that sword right now. Samurai.
Which I recognized immediately as being similar to those of electric discharges in the laboratory.
Many ancient cultures describe a golden age that ends with a war between gods, leading to a catastrophe on Earth. Myths around the world tell of mighty gods that ruled the heavens. This was an era of chaos, and each god vies for supremacy. One god conquers another, then the next god conquers him. And the favorite weapon of the gods? The thunderbolt. In Hinduism, the Mahabharata tells tales of a lost age, where gods waged war on each other in the sky using what can best be described as energy weapons. In Greek mythology, the god Zeus wielded a celestial thunderbolt to wage war against the titan Kronos. In Roman mythology, Zeus was named Jupiter, and he was at war with Saturn. The arrows of Apollo, the trident of Neptune, these are all connected to thunderbolts. So when our ancestors said the gods waged war in the sky, they were interpreting actual celestial thunderbolts that they witnessed jumping between planets that they had named after the gods. But what caused this war between the gods and the cataclysm on Earth? It was the glowing middle object in the cosmic wheel, Venus. But Venus didn't form like the other planets. It was created much more violently. A chunk of Jupiter was ejected from the center of the planet. This matter took the form of a giant comet. This comet would eventually become the planet Venus. And this event is also reflected in legends around the world. The Greeks have the myth of Zeus birthing the goddess Athena from his forehead. She emerged fully grown and radiated brilliant light. She then uttered a cry that shook the heavens and the earth. And remember, planets and gods are one and the same, and Zeus is Jupiter. The Maya and Babylonians had myths about Venus being a fiery or blazing star, just like a comet. The ancient Egyptians had a myth about the goddess Isis, who was associated with Venus. She was transformed into a fiery star that descended to the earth. At some point, the Earth, Venus, Mars, and Saturn drifted too close to each other. This led to massive bolts of lightning between the planets. And this lightning blasted craters in the moon and tore through the earth to create the Grand Canyon. Ancient cultures recorded evidence of this lightning and other plasma discharges. The Lascaux Cave in France has cave art that's 17,000 years old. These images are extremely detailed, very realistic, and very accurate. So why does later art become crude, with men being depicted as stick figures? It's because these are not drawings of men. Notice how the arms always appear outstretched, and there are dots on either side of the figure. These are the same all over the world. So what is...
Alright, so it always wants to go back to that leaning channel. That leaning pose picture caption. So there it is in a nutshell. And that's a relationship going on, folks. That's all that's happening. That's exactly what goes on in relationships. There's a mother, there's a father, and when the child is born, all of a sudden there's the push and the pull between the two energies. And also the third energy, the child. And discussions get heated, and interaction gets heated, and fights break out. But it's not necessarily always just a fight. It could be just a debate. And so sometimes the debate ends, or the fight ends, with everyone going and getting away from each other and putting space in between each other. Because the chemicals in the mother and the chemicals in the father and the chemicals in the child are such that sometimes if you mix plutonium with bleach and add a little lightning in there, and then you get them close to each other, they spontaneously ignite. It's natural law. Naturally happens this way. So now the idea is that now that everybody is spaced out and feeling comfortable, and there's no more big giant fights going on to where fucking the fallout is so great that all the rest of the energies have to suffer. Now that everyone's spaced out and comfortable, it's been a couple million years now, or 1,000 years. Who the fuck knows how long, because everything's just a story. And we all know that there's piles higher and deeper for every story that there is. Well, all of us might not know it yet, but enough of us know. And that's all that matters. Enough elders in the communities know. The elders. Because they're the ones that know how to wield the authority. When the nitty gritty really comes down to it, an elder will stand up and share what needs to be shared. And sometimes it's at the last fucking minute. And then the elder will step up and say, all right, now this is what I have to share. Seems everything's about to go into World War III with all this Biden and Trump information. All right. Rosa Parks stands up and is always, what seems to be the first one on the bus, but it's not really. Elder Parks is the first one on the bus because the bus is already there. So the bus is already there together with Rosa. So that's thought and body together. And Rosa has always been there, and which represents the girl energy. But the girl rises and says, okay, now we're going to equalize this energy, because I'm just a tiny little girl sitting on this big giant bus, and the bus is too big for its ego. So the girl needs to come in and bring everything to the same size, which is the reason why the explosion and the battle of the gods happened in the first place, is because one was much too big and powerful. And that would be the story that the king, the father, wants to rule, to have the woman, the wife, be submissive and the child be submissive. But that child, Venus, represents the one that shall never, ever fucking submit. In the long run. In the long run. Maybe in the short run, the child has been submitting. But as the child grows up, it realizes, oh no, there's unfinished business here that needs to be finished. And this is the Jesus story of it is finished. Love, replace of with love. But don't believe me, because everything I share is just a story too. But it is the story that I share. So, anyway.
Is this? The answer comes from Anthony Peratt, a plasma physicist. Peratt shows us an animation of a plasma discharge. The central column is the axis. Around the axis is a torus or donut-shaped ring of charged particles. The top is called a champagne glass, the bottom is called a squashed bell. To an observer, the shape is transparent, but there are places where the plasma is most dense.
Holy sh**.
This is the shape drawn by ancient cultures around the world. The reason they recorded it is because they would have seen this as a giant glowing object in the sky.
Like a god.
Exactly. These plasma discharges would have been loud and bright and violent, and could have easily been construed as gods battling in the heavens. Eventually, the lightning stopped and the war ended. Saturn, Mars, and Venus moved into their current orbits, giving us the sky that we know today. Now, it's an amazing story, but it goes against everything we've been taught about gravity, the solar system, and all of mainstream cosmology. In order for this theory to be taken seriously, someone would have to prove it. So someone did.
to the land of big-time natural...
Okay. So, the proof is in the singing. So go to the video and watch the rest of the video, or instead of giving you a commanding electronic king order, the video is there. That particular video is there to be accessed. It's on YouTube. I don't have to say anything else. But the proof is in the singing. Can anything be proved? Well, not really, because still it's just a story. But it's the best story I share. And Mother told me, she said, son, she said, it's better to have a story to stand on than no story at all. And then I said, oh yeah, because the story can always be edited, Mom. Amendments to the Constitution so that self-independence becomes more prevalent, more refined, more sharp, more independent, more self, instead of being under a vote for me ruler. And it doesn't have to all change in society overnight. But there are quantum leap jumps where the cats come in. But it's a delicate balance. Very delicate. And the universal energy has matured enough to know, and it's emanating all through, especially this fucker right here. But even as I say that, that's because I have not seen or experienced any other fucker not even come fucking close to what I'm ejaculating. Well, probably Ted Nugent. Ted Nugent might be the closest. But that fucker had given birth to me. If anything, it's the Ted Nugent ejaculation that birthed this fucker. Out of all the fuckers that I've studied so far on the internet, it would come down straight to ejaculation master Ted Nugent. That fucker, after watching him for the first time ever, I finally realized, oh, there's Father. It ain't Father Tony Iommi. He ain't the father. He might be your father, but he ain't my father. My father's Ted Nugent. I don't care how much the spin doctor extraterrestrial Vatican military wants to try to make it look like Tony Iommi is my father. Tony Iommi would be the father to this situation. But that's just a small father compared to the whole fucking body. Cat scratch fever is the father, folks. But I could be wrong. Now that brings everything back down to earth. Sit down, Saturn. There is an arrest here, a warrant, a guarantee, a contract, a ledger, an international universal treaty in place. The agreements have been set in stone. So everyone grab the favorite throne and scepter, everyone's kingdom that they're ruling. Sit them all down before the great grand Nashville Elvis seven feather Treasury 220-acre down the street auditorium that I already know was prophesied. Is it there or is it here? Who knows? Everything shall be unfolded as Tiny's Music Disneyland comes forth. Dio. Anyway, so that's probably enough for today's recording. We'll talk to you later. I'm gonna watch some more vids. I might even go visit Strip Chat. Oh, almost solid. Oh shit! I keep hitting this red button, but it's actually I gotta swipe it. There it is. Hit that red button.